I recently watched Meet the Parents for the second time with the hope of liking it this time. I kind of didn't mind it, the same opinion I had the first time I watched it, but the reason I wanted to rewatch it is to refresh my memory because I hadn't ever seen Meet the Fockers and I really wanted to watch it. So I basically watched these two back to back, and I have to say, this may not be the most popular opinion, particularly as I feel like Meet the Parents is actually pretty well received. I actually preferred Meet the Fockers. So in this one, there will be some spoilers from the first film. This was released a couple of years later in 2004, directed by Jay Roach, with a story by Jim Hertzfeld, obviously starring Ben Stiller as our protagonist, Greg Focker. We have the cast carrying over from the first film, with Teri Polo as Pam, Robert De Niro as Jack, and Blythe Danner as Dina. And Jack and his fiancée Pam, with her parents, are going to meet Greg's parents. They are going to meet the Fockers. And brilliant casting here. Bernie Focker is played by Dustin Hoffman. Barbra Streisand plays Rosalind Focker. And they are very much the antithesis of the Byrnes. Rosalind is a sex therapist. Bernie Focker was a stay-at-home father. He used to be a successful lawyer, but he was a stay-at-home father. Has a much more, I guess, relaxed approach to parenting than what Jack did with his daughter. Needless to say, these two families are going to have their differences. When they meet the Fockers, will they be able to get on? Or does this look like this is not going to be a union that's going to go down very well? There are problems that arise straight away. To begin with, the way in which they are getting to the Fockers' house is not as expected. Straight away you can tell that Jack Byrnes is completely in control of this trip. And that is something that I didn't like. I mentioned it when I discussed Meet the Parents. Jack Byrnes as a character, I just don't like him. And I know he's meant to be irritating. And Robert De Niro gave a fantastic performance. But I still don't like him. I like him a little bit better in this film because there is some character development that's carried over. And we do get some character development in this film as well. But it's hit and miss with whether or not I'm going to enjoy him in a scene or not. Whereas the rest of them, everybody I got on well with. We also have a new character, Jack, who is, well, he's called Little Jack, and he is Pam's sister's son, so Jack and Dina's grandson. And he's supposed to be this little prodigy who Jack absolutely dotes after. And of course, putting a baby around the Fockers, who have very different parenting skills, or parenting philosophies, I guess, is going to cause even further complications. So a lot goes wrong for the families. A lot could have gone wrong with the film, I think, if they try to do certain stories or try to take the narrative in a certain direction. But apart from one very weird thing with a 15-year-old boy, which I won't explain any further, but brilliant casting there, absolutely incredible casting, I think it did alright, you know. I think everything that happened made sense. The characters' reactions and their behaviours flowed quite well. Jack actually went along with some things that were necessary more than I thought he would have done, which is mostly the scenes when I kind of enjoyed him as a character. And ultimately, I thought it was pretty good, and definitely a lot better than the first film. I still didn't find it funny, but I feel like they tried less hard to be funny with this film. Not that they weren't trying to make it funny, but I feel like with the first film, a lot of the humour felt forced. With this one, it felt more observational and a lot more natural, which is my style of comedy, so maybe that's why I liked it, or liked it more. I still don't think it's a film that I'm ever going to watch again, unless I happen to not watch Little Fockers anytime soon, in which case I might watch this to recap. But I do still want to see Little Fockers, and I just think Ben Stiller's great, and his performance in this is fantastic. Definitely one of the reasons to stick with it, even if the narrative or the other characters don't necessarily live up to what you expected. But ultimately, Meet the Fockers may not have been amazing, but it was better than Meet the Parents, and still one that I'm pleased to say that I have watched.